The Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room has convened in Awka, Anambra State, to observe the Anambra State Governorship Election, scheduled for Saturday, the 8th of November 2025. The election will take place in 5,718 polling units of the 326 electoral wards across the 21 local government areas of the state. This election heralds the first major assignment of the new national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amokweto, who was appointed a few weeks ago as the top helmsman of the election management body in the country. Situation Room acknowledges the assurance given by the Independent National Electoral Commission that it is fully prepared for the election, assuring that there will be no inadequacy with logistics and deployment. And note the assurance of the police as the lead agency on election security, that security personnel deployed for the elections are properly trained to conduct themselves professionally and within the civil rules of engagement. Given the state's strategic importance and high stakes politically, credible conduct of this poll will reinforce public trust in the democratic process in the Southeast and contribute to national momentum for deepening democracy in Nigeria. Situation Room has deployed accredited observers who have been trained specifically for this election and would also be receiving reports from its partner organizations and networks, as well as citizen observers from across the local government areas of the state through its election reporting app deployed for the election. For this election, Situation Room partners will be observing across different thematic areas, such as ballot integrity, campaign finance, security, misinformation and disinformation, mandate protection and inclusion. Their observation and reports will also feed into our own report of the election. Pre-election environment. Situation Room notes with some degree of satisfaction the relatively peaceful atmosphere in Anambra State. This is in contrast to the very tense situation under which the last governorship election held in the state. Situation Room believes that the state of anomaly, Situation Room believes that that state of anomaly was partly due to incessant and deliberate acts of misinformation and disinformation that permeated the state at the time. Situation Room hopes that this positive ambience will help drive voters to the polls to exercise their democratic franchise tomorrow, Saturday, the 8th of November 2025, given that Anambra State continues to be among the states with the lowest rate of voter turnout in the country. INEC and election administration. INEC's role in ensuring and determining the credibility of this election is indisputable. While being somewhat assured by the promises of election preparedness by INEC, we are ever mindful of the critical areas in the process that must be effectively managed. We note that at this time, both sensitive and non-sensitive materials have been deployed to the local government level. INEC has stated its deployment of 3,000 vehicles and 83 boats to convey men and materials for the election, including 24,000 ad hoc staff and 6,879 bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) machines to the registration area centers and polling units across the state. With the somewhat peaceful political environment leading to this election, Situation Room expects to see the following. 1. Early deployment of personnel and materials to the polling units and timely opening of polls, precisely at 8:30 a.m. across board, including the riverine voting locations. INEC must ensure vehicles and personnel are adequately briefed on their routes to avoid being misdirected and arriving late at the polling units. 2, good knowledge of election procedures and effective use of the BVAS devices by polling officials. 3, functional and fully powered BVAS devices. 4, transparent result tabulation and collation process. Inefficient process leading to desperate politicians tampering with election results, as observed in some of the recent off-cycle governorship elections, has dented the credibility of elections in Nigeria. INEC must avoid it in this election. 5, real-time transmission of polling unit results to the INEC result viewing portal, IREV. 6, inclusivity. Situation Room greatly welcomes INEC's deployment of sign language interpreters in partnership with TAF Africa, a member organization of the Situation Room, to the respective polling units of voters with hearing loss or deaf and hard of hearing in this election. We hope that this leads to a broader inclusion of persons with disability in the political process in Nigeria. Situation Room will be holding INEC accountable for all of the above. Election security. We note the deployment of personnel by the security agencies, particularly the Nigeria Police Force, with a contingent of 45,000 personnel. We note that this is a rather high number. And while we acknowledge the need to secure the election, the number of deployment in this election is a clear manifestation of deficits within our democratization process. After 26 years of regular elections, it is expected that with each election cycle, there will be a drawdown in the number of security personnel in elections. The present circumstances, partly created by the antics of desperate politicians, is absolutely unacceptable. The conduct of security personnel deployed for this election must be professional and not seen as intimidating to voters in any way. Situation Room expects that the presence of security agencies in Anambra State will provide a level playing environment for all parties, deter vote buying and selling, and uphold the sanctity of the election results. We call on the police and other security agencies to ensure their contact centers are active and can respond effectively to reported issues, especially in flashpoints that have been identified prior to now. Political parties. Situation Room observes a concerning lack of competitiveness demonstrated by several political parties participating in this election. A robust and healthy level of competition is fundamental to a thriving democracy. When a political party indicates an intention to participate in an election and goes ahead to field a candidate, it carries the inherent obligation to generate the requisite degree of electoral competitiveness. Political parties are obligated to deploy the full complement of accredited party agents for this election. Failure to ensure full coverage of polling units and collation centers by political parties will demonstrate a dereliction of fundamental duty to the democratic system. Such parties lose their moral compass to complain about irregularities. Anambra voters. Situation Room calls on all eligible voters to come out and peacefully exercise their civic duty tomorrow, Saturday, the 8th of November 2025, while avoiding selling their votes in the process. Selling of votes, we must remind all, is illegal and undermines the development of the state. Conclusion. Recent elections have been fraught with irregularities, but we remain hopeful that this governorship election will be a departure. As we go into the polls tomorrow, we wish Anambra a peaceful electoral outing. Thank you, everybody.